And then so Shia Even Stevens turns to Indiana Jones and he just smiles at him, and then Indy just doesn't smile, and it's a reference back to Last Crusade, when Indy would do something and he would smile at his dad, and his dad would just look at him with just a stared face and just like, no, that's not funny, Indy. That's cool. That's fun. You can do that. Like that's okay. Like we go, oh okay, that's Last Crusade. But no, when you do a joke about like age, or just like keep a stiff upper lip, kid, or like like I don't know, some parts of the movie even Stevens would call like Indiana Jones like an old man, or ask if he was 80 or something. Like I don't know, it's just really corny stuff, and I could see if they wanted, because they wanted to make the film like a B movie, contrast to the other films which are made, but like serials from the 1930s and 40s, but it was just really corny, and it didn't really add anything to the film. It kind of brought it down a bit. Now, the weird part about the movie, too, at the very beginning, when I started watching it with Indy, as I couldn't even understand his voice, really, because it just sounded really off. It didn't sound right for some reason. Later on it did, but just at the beginning it sounded really weird. I'm not sure if it's because of his age or anything like that. And then another thing, too, is his age factor. They were saying that Harrison looked, almost as good as he did in Last Crusade, or close, identical. That's not really true. He does look really old. He actually looks like my grandfather. Um, the first part in the film at Area 51, you can actually tell he looks really old, and it's kind of depressing to see it. Just because you're looking at him, it's like, it's Indiana Jones, and like, you don't really want to see this guy get too old and stuff. We have seen that in the television series. We've seen him at like age 80, but when it's Harrison Ford and this guy's getting old, you don't really want to see that. But he does deliver. He does really pull off all the stunts really well. Like you can just say, hey, wow, like that guy's really agile for an old man. The things that he does in it, like he still swings on the whip and beats the crap out of guys, and stuff like that. It's pretty crazy. Although some points you kind of think Mutt takes more of the beatings. Like Mutt gets a bloody nose and stuff like that, and I can't remember really if Indy got bloody at all. Maybe he got like side of his lip cut, but I think that was it. Mutt got more of the beatings from like the Russian chick who beat the crap out of him at one point. Then there's also John Hurt's character. You know him from The Elephant Man and Alien. He played Oxley, who was a mentor, I think a colleague to Indy, and a friend and a mentor to Mutt and Marion. And I guess they both were taught under Marion's father, so that's how they know all each other. But Oxley has lost his mind because of the crystal skull, and he's acting weird throughout the movie. He almost seems like Barbara from Night of the Living Dead. He just doesn't say much. He does help them, and it is because of his weird state that he is, he has to act like that. Like he has to act like weird, and he doesn't say anything, and he always wants to hold the crystal skull. And it actually isn't until the end of the movie where he actually returns to normal and he starts to talk and stuff like that. And I kind of wish, because he's such a good actor and he has a really great voice too. You kind of wish that he would have more dialogue in the film and he wouldn't act like that, really, like all weird and stuff like that. But if he wanted to do it, then sure, why the heck not? Another reference, at one point they show the Ark of the Covenant in the warehouse after Indy escapes from it. There's a lot of damage to the warehouse, some of the boxes, and one of the boxes, the Ark, you can see it. More of the ridiculous stuff, I'd say, is another part where Indy, after leaving the warehouse on Area 51, he escapes from going into a test pilot thing. It's like a big rocket pack thing, or jet pack thing that he sits on, and it shoots him out into the desert somewhere. And I guess he stumbles into like a neighborhood or something, and he just starts going around, and he notices that every single person there is a mannequin, and then you kind of realize, like, you hear the air raid siren, so you know that that's a test site for the nuclear bomb. And he actually survives it by hiding inside of a refrigerator. And also, a really dumb thing too is they kept showing these stupid gophers all the time. I don't know if that's Lucas's doing. It probably is. But yeah, like at the beginning of the film, they'd show these CGI gophers, and then all of a sudden they show them again after the nuclear bomb site or something. It was really ridiculous. Now, the fact that they didn't use too much CGI in this film is really good. I'm happy that. You can actually tell at some points where they did and where they didn't. It was really easy to tell. And the CGI wasn't bad either. Like it helped the film. One of the first parts of the beginning is after the nuclear bomb. Like it's Indy is nearby the bomb and he sees it. So you get to see a really nice looking, well, that's kind of funny to say, but a really nice looking nuclear bomb, like a mushroom cloud, come up from the desert. Throughout the film, you're hoping that whatever they found in that box, the Russians, is not an alien. And you do find out that it was the Roswell alien. You find it later on when they're in Peru or the Amazon. Kate Blanchett talks about why they're going after the crystal skulls, and that aliens or whatever have crystal skulls, and that they came down to the Aztecs or the Mayans, and they taught them all these things, how to do things. They want to use them to manipulate people, soldiers. It's able to manipulate and make people do things, apparently. So the Russians want to do that so they can control people in all parts of the world to do things for psychological warfare. Now, parts of the end of the film were mostly what kind of made you mad, and mostly what kind of made you just kind of really want to kick George Lucas in the nuts. I'm not going to lie that the man is smart. He has come up with two of the greatest franchises in film history, which is Star Wars and Indiana Jones, of course. But over the years, I mean, his ideas have just gotten ridiculous and ridiculous. Like, he's listening too much to his kids, and you can tell it. I mean, the fact that they showed, like, CGI gophers, like, twice in the film, like, what's the fucking point of that? Like, is it going to really add anything that you saw these little cute gophers in the holes at Area 51? It was a lot. It was a waste of, like, 2 seconds. They were only there for a little bit, but, like, why put that in the film? That's like making like a Superman film and just putting in like, I don't know, like the mascot from Chuck E. Cheese randomly. Like, what's the point of that? Nothing. Now, there was talks about an Indiana Jones 4 script that came out on the internet back in the late 90s, and it was about Indy involving with aliens. And there were parts to the script that included, I think, ants, Indy surviving a nuclear bomb test in a refrigerator, of course, aliens, and there's a couple other parts, and I don't know if the man who wrote it, who also wrote Die Hard, got credited, but Lucas took a shitload of stuff from that script and actually put it in the film, which is amazing because back then they used to consider it just like a fake script or something, but it was actually written by an actual screenwriter, and I think it was given to Lucas. If it wasn't, then how much of a risk is he going to take off a script off the internet, who was written by a professional screenwriter though, but still, nonetheless, taking it off the internet and put parts of it into like a full motion picture. So the end of the film was really, really weird. There's a flying saucer at the end of the film, and Marion and Indy actually get married at the end of the film. And then there's a funny nod towards Mutt's adventures, because at one point Indy's hat blows into the church or whatever where they're getting married, and then it goes to Mutt's feet, and Mutt's about to put it on, and all of a sudden Indy walks by with Marion, he takes it and he puts it on his head. So you know that's just a net mention that you know that Indy's adventures are not over yet, which is a good thing to think about too, because I mean they're still talking about making a 5th film, which wouldn't be bad, but I wouldn't really want to see Mutt as the full main guy, unless maybe they're going to make Indiana Jones Jr. I don't know. So that's my review on Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. It was a decent film. The storyline was weak a bit, but it did well on other aspects, such as not using and relying on CGI effects. Even Stevens did a good job in it, surprisingly. And, you know, without Lucas as a writer and the mentioning of aliens and all that, it could have been a really good film. It could have been even better maybe than Temple of Doom. But, yeah, that's what happened. So, thanks for listening.